In this video, we're going to look at the STAVANGER stocking and a few things that will happen right before you close up the folded cuff at the top. So we've got our cast on edge here, which is the old Norwegian cast on, and we have the stockinette section that will fold to the inside of our stocking, followed by the row of purl bumps that create the folding edge, and the yarn over hole that we left at that edge. Now I've knit one less row here on this stockinette section that will face the outside of your stocking, and that's because we're about to knit the final row of that section. First thing though, I'm going to knit an I-cord using a DPN needle or a double pointed needle, and I'm going to take that needle and slide 3 stitches from the end of my last round onto the edge of that needle, and taking a second DPN, I'm going to use these 3 stitches to knit in the round, and that creates that I-cord that we can then use to hang our stocking in the end. So I'm going to knit the first stitch, and that's joined this in the round, and then I'm just going to knit those 3 stitches in sequence, and I'm going to slide that DPN so that the stitches are once again on the right, and then just repeat that process. So knitting the first stitch to join in the round, and the second stitch, and the third stitch. Now I-cords are as easy as that. You just continue to repeat that process, slide the stitches to the right side of your DPN and knit them in sequence. And for this stocking, your pattern will tell you that you're going to knit this for 10 inches. So you're just going to watch me speed through that here so that it goes a little bit more quickly. And I've knit a slightly smaller version of the stocking to show you here for a teaching sample, so my I-cord won't be quite 10 inches long. Now that I have enough length, I'm going to find that yarn over hole at the folding edge, and I'm going to pull the middle of my I-cord through that hole. And there we go. That's the loop you'll hang your stocking from. And again, that cast on edge will fold inside. Now that we've knit our I-cord, we're going to slide those 3 stitches back onto the needle that we were working from. And I'm going to twist the center of my I-cord here in order to get these stitches in the right order. So as you'll see in your pattern, you have the stitches from your round, you have the 3 stitches you used for the I-cord, and then you have the base of your I-cord where it meets up with the stockinette panel that you'd previously knit. Now, to secure this loop that comes through to hang our stocking in the end, so that it doesn't pull too much on the fabric, we're going to pick up a stitch with our active yarn by looping that yarn around the base of the I-cord. So go ahead and take your active yarn, loop it around your I-cord from the inside, and place that loop around your needle. Now that's going to create an extra stitch, and that stitch will later be decreased so that it can get our stitch count back to where we started, but can also secure the base of that I-cord. So now you're just going to watch me speed through knitting the next round of stitches, which is the last round in this folded cuff. And once we get back to the end of that round here, I'll show you how we decrease that stitch. So we're coming up on the end of the round, and we're going to knit the first 2 stitches that were used for that I-cord as normal, and then the third stitch from the I-cord is going to be knit together with the loop of yarn that went around the base of your I-cord for that picked up stitch. So we're just going to knit those 2 together, and now we're back to our original stitch count, and this was where the I-cord started, and you can see that when you tug on that loop, it is fairly secure. It shouldn't pull too much on your stocking. Now we're going to be switching to our larger size needle, as your pattern will state, and I'm knitting with a bulky yarn, but you're knitting with DK, so you're actually going to start holding your yarn double at this point. and you're going to look for these little bars that come off of the edge of your cast on, and there should be one associated with each stitch from that cast on edge. They're pretty easy to find, and you're going to use those to purl together with each active stitch on your needles. So to start, you'll take the cast on edge, the tail from your cast on edge, and match that up with your active yarn where it stands, and that's just to make sure that you're kind of keeping things from twisting when you match up the inside edge of your stocking with the outside active stitches. So you're going to take that first bar from your cast on edge and purl it together with the stitch on your needle. So insert your needle from right to left as if to purl with your yarn held in front, and purl that stitch through the active stitch, and then also continuing to purl all the way through that bar on your cast on edge. You're going to want to keep your stitches fairly loose here, and you'll see that in the next tutorial where we look at how to do that herringbone stitch pattern, but that will help you out if you keep your stitches somewhat loose. Just continue to do that all the way around, inserting your needle through the cast on edge and then as if to purl through the active stitch and purling through both of those loops.